Hey guys, what up? It's me, Mitch. Long-time listener, first-time caller, lifetime baller. And when I'm not going into Rhea Ripley and EO Sky, well, shit, man, I'm listening to House of Prayer and smoking a blunt. I'm still going though.
Welcome to the House of Grim. Damn Bob with a boot to the chin. Share that link with all of your friends. Slender Man and Grim gon' do it again. Welcome to the House of Grim. Damn Bob with a boot to the chin. Share that link with all of your friends. A Slender Man and Grim gon' do it again. Hard throbs in this thing and our nuts hang. Diamond cutter on a bitch through a bed frame. Bang, pedigree, time to play the game. Raise the flames of hell.
Sipping like Kurt off a perk. Suicide dive like it's 9205. It's just man got my hand up a skirt. Man up a flow, she gon' squirt. I see that bitch boobs to a shirt.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the House of Grim podcast. Host Grim Grimes. We got Dan Bob and Danny Diesel. And our special guest today, Barnabas The Bizarre, the purveyor of the peculiar. Welcome,
The
sir.
one, the only.
Now, hold on, wait a minute. Now, listen. Jeeves told me that this was an audition for a revamped 2026 version of the Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy. And you, sir, are certainly not Billy, and neither one of you is Mandy. So you, gentlemen, got some splaining to do.
Dan Bob identifies as Mandy.
Yeah, he could be a Mandy. He could be a Mandy.
That's the
Screw to both of you.
Mandy I've ever seen. Well, gentlemen, it is an honor and a privilege and a pleasure to be here today.
Yes,
the House
it
of
is.
Grim. Grim is a state of being that Jackson and Abel, the Outbreak, are all too familiar with. And you know who else is going to be in a world of Grim in the not too distant future? That would be our best friend, Mr. Vito.
Nice.
Poor Vito.
Poor Vito.
Oh, no, poor Vito. Oh, no. We tried to do things the easy way, the polite way, the professional way. But Vito doesn't know what any of those words actually mean, because he wants to be Mr. Aggro, and he wants to use his muscle and might, and he thinks that his old school mob techniques are going to work in a modern day JCW with entities that, quite frankly, he, neither anyone else on that roster, truly understands.
So the last lunacy that we saw at the end of the show, Big Vito was attacked. He got the cup of urine from cocaine and it went all over his face. So the question I got for you, man, is he gonna need some sort of antidote?
Stay tuned, my fine feathered friend. Stay tuned. You see, Vito, and I know he's watching because he literally watches every single thing that I do. You reap what you sow. And boy, has he been causing all kinds of mystic havoc and chaos throughout JCW. Not just for the Outbreak, but also for cocaine, for Stephen Flo, and for so many others. You can only go about doing business in such an abrupt manner until things finally catch up with you. Karma, as they say, is a biatch. And Mr. Vito is finding that out firsthand.
Yes, he is. So I guess I'm gonna kick it off with my first question: is how did you come up with the zombie theme for the wrestlers for Jackson and Abel? How was that formed for them to be the zombies as the wrestlers?
So when I first began to associate with Jackson and Abel, in a prior lifetime, they were known as the Twins of Salem. They were competing all throughout the Memphis territory and beyond, and they were quite a talented tandem, but rather unique, a tad bit peculiar. And they definitely sparked the interest of yours truly, Barnabas the Bizarre. But I knew that where they stood, though they are such a talented group of individuals, twin bodies, one conjoined brain, two operating as one. But I knew that to compete on an even grander scale, for us to amass as much championship gold as humanly or inhumanly possible, we needed to up the ante. So through some rather dubious connections, from the witch trials of Salem all the way to the voodoo graves of New Orleans, connecting with the family of the voodoo queen herself, Marie Laveau. The same Marie Laveau who the members of the Misfits, and I don't know if you can see it on my wall, but there is a signed Fiend mask from the Misfits hanging on my wall. You see, the Misfits, and you can look this up, gents, traveled to New Orleans many years ago and attempted to dig up the bones of Miss Marie Laveau because they knew and they understood the true power that she still to this day possesses. So by means of which, so sorry, I can't share everything with you here today. But needless to say, Jackson and Abel were reborn, rechristened as the unstoppable, incurable infection known as the Outbreak, because it was necessary. It was necessary for us to be able to compete at a much grander scale and certainly a higher level within a tumultuous roster for Juggalo Championship Wrestling. And I think the results speak for themselves. Each and every episode of JCW Lunacy, when you look through the comments on every single video, there's something that pops up every single time. A repeated comment from the Mizarks watching at home, all of our lovely juggalos and juggalettes who follow our product. And they mention the Outbreak over and over and over again because they know, just like I know, just like you know, just like Vito knows, and just like Mr. Russo is beginning to find out, that no man, woman, or beast alive shall survive the Outbreak.
Dude, that is an awesome tag team.
Fire.
Dude, they're everything about them is phenomenal. From the way they walk, the way they breathe,
Yes.
their look, they are definitely killing it, bro. You guys you guys definitely found a niche in this professional wrestling and this thing of entertainment, this thing of whatever. And you guys, I can't even really get the words out, man. It's just so epic, bro. It's beautiful. It's phenomenal.
All immersive. Do you know what that word means, immersive?
No.
It's where you can completely lose yourself in a certain situation or moment where you are able to suspend disbelief and just fully believe that this, what is before you, is completely real and tangible. And with the Outbreak, you're talking about two incredibly talented athletes and individuals in Jackson and Abel. Completely immersive. As if The Walking Dead and Ripley's Believe It or Not are in your living room or at a live event right in front of your very eyes. And I dare ask the question, who else in the professional wrestling industry today, bar none, does that?
And
No
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 one.
one,
No
yeah.
one
No
at
Nobody.
one,
all.
exactly.
Nobody.
Nobody even comes close. No,
And thank you
And
not
so
even
much
a
for
little bit.
acknowledging that.
yeah,
I
not
certainly
even a
appreciate
little bit. And then I guess the next question I got to that would be is how far can you see Jackson and Abel and Outbreak going in the wrestling industry?
it. So the reality is this. For the longest time, the three of us combined were uncertain of just how much longer our pursuit in the professional wrestling industry would last. Because so many doors were slammed in our face. So many people wanted to deny the raw talent of not just Jackson and Abel, but also yours truly.
Yes, absolutely.
And we truly didn't know how much longer we could continue on. But then, a lovely, creative, eccentric madman known the world over as Violent J took a gander at us, and well, the rest is professional wrestling history. Because you see, here's a little backstage or behind the curtain talk for you gentlemen. Everyone in the professional wrestling industry at one point in time or another, if they're going to ascend, if they're going to continue, especially at a higher level, a higher frequency, if you will, within the world of pro wrestling, they need the correct advocate. They need someone that has that stroke, that has that cred, that is willing to speak their name when they're not around to crack those doors and create opportunities. Now, don't get me wrong, once opportunity has presented itself, someone such as myself in the Outbreak, we have to deliver. We have no choice. We are not favored sons. We are no one's children. We're not born with silver spoons in our mouths. Jackson and Abel came from nothing. And truth be told, old Barnabas the Bizarre, the old carny that I am, I too came from nothing. So we don't have a big bucks millionaire to lean back on, but in some ways we kind of do now with Violent J, because he did something that no one else truly did. He believed in us. He
And,
believed in us.
and as a
He
fan, I'm glad
provided
he
us the
did.
canvas. He provided us the canvas, that JCW canvas, to deliver to the world our unique brand of art, our sports entertainment, our professional wrestling, whatever you'd like to call it, our unique brand of exotic, weird, bizarre, horror entertainment. We've been able to take that to the masses. And how far do I think we can go? At this point, gentlemen,
To the
there
top.
are no limitations.
To the top.
There is nothing stopping us. So it would be foolish for me to put a cap on something when the reality is that I don't know. Because the taste in the business change like this.
Hmm.
So we could be, who knows, AEW, WWE, MLW, TNA, or maybe, just maybe, we stay with JCW. And we help the brand continue to grow and blossom to a point where the entire world is watching Juggalo Championship Wrestling. And at the core of the fans base, the core of the product, the core of lunacy, is the greatest undead tag team in professional wrestling history, the Outbreak.
Now,
I like that.
I really love what Violent J is actually doing with JCW. I'm really glad that it's starting to become like a household product, you know? Like it's not just for juggalos and juggalettes. It's out there now. And you're starting to see that with how many viewers are tuning in to Lunacy, you know?
Yes.
And that's awesome, bro, because I said this before when we've interviewed other superstars and stuff. Like when I've taken, like I took my brother to GCW and JCW, and I was kind of concerned about how he was gonna reciprocate the wrestling and the entertainment, because he's never really been a juggalo.
That was when
But
we first seen you, I think. Matter of
dude,
fact, we first
he's
seen you
fell
guys at the
in love
GCW,
with
JCW.
he's fell in love with JCW, bro. Probably he's probably a bigger fan almost than I am at times, and I'm trying to play catch up with him, because Grim, man, he loves what the product is all about. There's all sorts of different sorts of entertainment that's taking place this way, that way. It's all great. From the top of the card to the bottom of the card, hands down, it is awesome. So I'm really glad that it's starting to become, I guess you could say, mainstream in a way. Like it's starting to become a household product. Um, so
We certainly appreciate the kind words and absolutely appreciate the support, because the reality is that JCW, the growth of the product, I mean, this is a grassroots situation where we need all of you guys, and we need everybody watching and listening right now to not just enjoy the product, but to tell somebody about it, to
right.
spread the word on what we do. JCW, Juggalo Championship Wrestling, we have still to this day a bit of a stigma that
Hmm.
people that haven't watched or haven't watched in a long time, they either think that JCW is what it was several years ago, which was more gimmicky and more comedy based. And don't get me wrong, I love those shows. Jay and Shaggy on commentary is fantastic. But
Very
the product we're
hilarious.
yes, and laugh out loud funny, to say the very least. And I'm
Yeah.
all about entertainment, if you couldn't tell. But the modern day product of JCW is a bit more serious. It's a bit more streamlined. As you just said, we welcome the Juggalos and Juggalettes because they are the most incredible, loyal, passionate fan base on the freaking planet. But we also welcome everyone else that loves pro wrestling. And I truly believe right now, current day, there is no other professional wrestling product that services the needs of the long time old school wrestling fan better than JCW, because even though we have modern talent, modernized matches and presentation, it has a very old school pro wrestling feel. And as
Yes, it
someone
does.
who is a wrestling historian, who very much everything that I do is to pay homage to the great pro wrestling managers of the past, to be involved with a product now, present day, that is the tip of the hat to all of the great pro wrestling from the past, from the larger than life characters to the outrageous stories, to the rivalries and feuds, and to the awesome action in the ring. There's no other product today, top to bottom, that does what we do. And I solidly stand behind that. And I have to, while we're on the topic of this, in regards to there being more eyeballs on the product, I have to give the devil his due, because a big part of the reason for that right now is the writing and the notoriety of the infamous Vince Russo.
And you know what? Speaking of Vince Russo, we actually had the privilege and the honor to have him on the House of Grim podcast for an hour long
Yes, we did.
interview,
Really?
and that episode will be dropping soon.
Great guy.
But he don't get the credit that he deserves, bro.
No, he
Like,
don't.
so growing up, people would always talk shit about him and say like Judy Bagwell on a pole match. But you know what? That's the only thing I can remember from that Monday Nitro that stood out. That still to this day stands out. And then, all these other haters out there, like Jim Cornette, want to talk shit about him and hate on him. But you know what? That man came onto our show, talked with us for an hour. I got probably over 40 or 50 emails in my phone, on my computer from him. He is just so humble, so respectful. Dude,
It's
I,
cool.
I was I was
Real
actually
cool.
stunned and taken back by how awesome and cool he was with us. Like we're nobody, bro. We're just fans trying to carry on a nice show, have a nice
Man,
podcast.
we're just from
And
Flint, Michigan. We're just from Flint, Michigan, out here trying to make it.
Now,
Have a
now,
little bit of a good time.
now, gentlemen, you are not nothing. Listen, you all are human beings who love the art form of pro wrestling. And as I said a few moments ago, you are very much needed. All of you are needed if we're going to
Thank you.
continue to expand and grow, if we're going to get more eyes and more attention on everything that we do. It may not seem like a big deal, but truthfully, gentlemen, everything that you're doing helps. Because if after the Russo episode or after the episode that we're recording right now, if we even get one more follower, one more viewer, one more fan, that's one step closer to getting us to our inevitable goal of spreading the love of JCW literally around the globe. But when it comes to Vince Russo, there is so much misinformation and just outright hate for this man. It's
Yeah.
truly mind-boggling.
Yes, it is.
The perception that people have of him and the reality are two vastly different
Yeah.
things. When I
Totally.
first met him, it was during events that we participated and taped in October when we had traveled to Denver, Colorado, which is the area where he lives. And none of us knew what to expect. We didn't know if he was going to be smug and arrogant and look down his nose at us, or if it was going to be something different. And I can tell you this, I can share this much with you, gentlemen. When we met him, not just for myself and the Outbreak, but the entire roster, he looked us square in the eye. He shook our hand. He knew who we were because he had done his research and his homework, and he was ready to off to the races. He was ready to work and ready to go. A professional from top to bottom. And to this point, and we've worked directly with him now on several occasions, he's easy to work with. He's easy to take direction from. He has been nothing but a gentleman and a professional from day one. And while we've been out on the road, making appearances in places like New York, etc., we've run into some all-time greats in the business, gentlemen like Earl Hebner or the Mouth of the South, Jimmy Hart, and they have nothing but good things to say about Vince Russo. Now, when it comes to Mr. Jim Cornette, now listen, I love Jim Cornette. I
I knew
do.
it.
I've
I
met Jim
knew it.
Cornette on a few occasions. Being a fellow managerial mind, I have nothing but respect for Jim Cornette because he is easily one of the greatest managers and one
Oh
of the
yeah.
greatest minds in professional wrestling history. But anyone that thinks that this whole shtick with he and Russo and his hatred for Russo, if anybody really thinks that that's real and it's
Right.
not just a work, if nothing else, Jim Cornette is an incredible worker. Maybe not
Right.
as
Oh
good as
yeah.
Dave Meltzer, because Dave Meltzer is the ultimate worker in the business for a variety of reasons, but I digress. But that whole hatred, he's garnered an entire audience that just loves to hear him rant and tear down Vince Russo show after show after show. So I get it. That's his bread and butter. That's how he makes a living. That's his modus operandi at this point. But Vince Russo, now the guy on screen and the guy pulling the strings, I don't know if I can trust that guy. But when it comes to the guy behind the scenes, who's doing all the writing and doing all the hype and bringing more people to us, I have nothing but tremendous things to say about him because he has put us on a trajectory for absolute superstardom, for the Outbreak, and for yours truly. He has put us in situations where we've been able to show sides of ourselves, and you'll continue to see in upcoming episodes of Lunacy. More and more, you'll see layers added to everything that we do. So old Barnabas doesn't just do the grandiose introduction for the Outbreak anymore. Now I'm doing a lot more interaction with other talents on our roster, obviously including Big Vito. But that opportunity did not exist before. And
Right.
now it exists tenfold. And I have Mr. Russo to thank for that. So nothing but positive things to say about old Vinny Roo.
I can
What
say
what
this
ma-
about
what
Jim Cornette. Get you, Jim Cornette. You blocked me.
what manager out there, or you being a manager, gave you the idea to be the ringmaster, becoming the manager? What gave you that idea, or who gave you that idea, or who would you pick it up from? I should say.
Sure. No, well, that's a tremendous question. So it is an amalgamation of a few different things, in all honesty. So number one, I am not a ringmaster. Now, one point I did consider myself and actually call myself Barnabas the Ringmaster.
Okay.
in a previous lifetime. But the ringmaster at JCW is obviously our ring announcer. So, and he is befitting of that specific role. Barnabas the Bizarre is something completely different. But to get back to your question, in regards to what led me down this specific path, it's a combination of a few things. Part of it is truly who I am, the things that I legitimately enjoy. I've always had a fascination with horror, with studying the human mind, with oddities, abnormalities, curiosities. Robert E. Ripley and Ripley's Believe It or Not. P.T. Barnum, who is mostly known for Barnum and Bailey Circus, but before the circus, he dealt in sideshow attractions. So there is a past history there. And it's a combination of all the above. But I would be remiss if I did not mention another individual that had a key role in sending me down this specific top hat wearing path. And that would be none other than EC3.
Okay.
Once
Nice.
upon a time, I was a part of an organization that EC3 was beginning to develop called Control Your Narrative.
Okay.
And at that point, the organization was operated by EC3, Adam Scher, aka Braun Strowman, and Austin Aries. Now, again, going back to the Vince Russo, people having misconceptions and preconceived notions, the same thing really applied to all three of those gentlemen, because at that point, all of them were tremendous leaders, extremely creative, and for the time that I spent around them, I actually learned quite a bit. But the formal introduction of the ringmaster persona was by virtue of EC3, but it was a combination of both an idea from him and a direction that I was looking to go in myself, where I was able to lean more into the things that I enjoy, perhaps bring a little bit of Jack Skellington to the professional wrestling industry with that type of energy and that type of whimsical nature. And everything all snowballed into one and created an early incarnation of yours truly. But even saying that, though, things have changed. And that's the nature of pro wrestling, is its constant adaptation. You constantly have to evolve. No one can stand and stay static, because that's not how pro wrestling, that's not how entertainment works. You have to constantly be evolving and changing and growing. So over time, I have developed and grown. And I would dare say, gentlemen, and I don't say this to sound braggadocious, but this is the gospel according to Barnabas the Bizarre. I believe myself to be one of the best mic men or women on the planet today.
Oh yeah.
In any organization, anywhere in the globe, I would dare say that I would be willing, ready, and able to stand nose to nose, microphone for microphone, live in a ring, anywhere in the world, and go toe to toe with anybody. And I do mean anybody. And I don't have to have a little script in front of me to read verbatim, though I can do that if I need to.
Man, I got my money on you.
Oh yeah.
I got my money on you.
That was one thing I said
That's
about
why
you
I'm here.
when we seen you in Detroit, man. I'm like, man, this guy's killer on the mic. Man.
I truly appreciate that. So you take this grandiose persona that I have, and then you combine that with, again, this all immersive style that Jackson and Abel possess. Their movements, their look, their in-ring capabilities. When you see the Outbreak live in person, there is never one point in time where you can say, oh, they broke character. Ah, that sucks. You know why? Because it's never happened, and it never will happen. Because the truth is, that's who they really are. Deep inside that encrusted, infected shell of a body each one of them possess, still inside is the heart, of a pure entertainer and pro wrestler, Jackson and Abel, are still in there, but also outwardly the rotting flesh, the disgusting teeth. And if one is bit, well, continue to watch Lunacy, gentlemen.
So when did you first meet Jackson and Abel?
So we encountered one another a number of years ago. Again, going back to what we were discussing earlier in the greater Memphis territory. In their previous incarnation as the Twins of Salem, you see, I had my eyes on them for quite some time. Before Jackson teamed with Abel, Jackson actually teamed with another brother named Otis, and they were the Crowleys, not to be confused with Alice Crowley, Big Al.
Big Al the man.
They were Big Al. If you want to talk about, I know I'm getting off on a little bit of a side tangent, but Big Al is arguably one of the most talented young female competitors on the globe today. And a nice thing about upcoming episodes of Lunacy, which you will continue to see, is that Big Al is getting more and more of an opportunity to talk. So you get to hear what she has to say. And the reality is that not only is she aggressive and good in the ring, not only does she have a great look, she also is solid on the microphone. And her star is only going to continue to rise.
We like Big Al. We got her going last time a little bit. We like Big Al. She's cool. She's fun.
Grim and I, we first met Big Al at Chaos Wrestling in Port Huron, Michigan.
Okay.
Yeah, she's a phenomenal athlete, man. Got none but love and respect for her.
She is. Our entire female roster and division at JCW, it continues to grow. But at the top of the food chain right now is Big Al, and everybody is chasing her. And there's a reason for that, because she is one of the best on the planet today, bar none. But getting back to your previous question, where did I encounter Jackson and Abel? So Jackson previously was teaming with his brother Otis as the Crowleys, and I already had scouted them for quite some time. I went to work for Memphis Wrestling. Shout out to Dustin Starr and the crew down in Memphis. Went to work for Memphis Wrestling with my act, The Circus, and a very muscular gentleman named Maurice the Strong. And we captivated audiences, but I still had it in my mind. I want to, at one point in time, have an opportunity to lead the careers of the Crowleys. Only the Crowleys changed. And Otis was taken out of the picture and Abel was introduced. And then they were the Twins of Salem. Similar vibes, similar creepiness, similar uniqueness, now taken to an entirely different level. Near twins, mirror images of one another, two working as one. That's the thing that attracted me most to them. That's why I wanted to take them, mold them, shape them, and elevate them. But the truth is as much as they may need me, I need them in return. And together, the three of us work so well together that we've been able to elevate ourselves. They've been able to elevate me. I've been able to elevate them. And now we truly have an act, a team, a presentation, an uniquely special attraction, unlike anything that I have ever seen in the professional wrestling industry before. And let me ask a question of you, gentlemen.
All right. Okay.
When I watch our ring introduction, when we come out to the ring and I'm on the microphone and I do the grandiose entrance for Jackson and Abel, and then my team enters the ring, everything from start to finish, from our music to the introduction to my undead abnormalities and curiosities hitting the ring to what happens after the bell. Truthfully, have you ever seen anything that looks or feels like this ever before? Because I've been a wrestling fanatic for a long time, and I, in all sincerity, can say I've never seen anything that's quite like this.
No, dude, they're
No,
phenomenal.
yeah.
All three
I
of you
was
guys.
we were front row in Detroit, and they're on the ring apron. They're tag match, obviously, but watching, waiting for one break. Nothing, nada, the entire time. I'm pretty in awe of that, man.
That's what
Phenomenal.
separates. That's what separates us from everyone else.
So I guess my last question, closing it up before I let these guys go ahead and question, is what made you decide you wanted to be an entertainer in the wrestling business and stuff like that, and how long ago was it, and how long have you been doing it as an entertainer in the wrestling business? Because I seen you did a little bit of the videos and stuff with TNA back in the day or whatever it was. I don't know how long ago it was and so forth, but I didn't know how long you've been doing it.
So I have worn many different hats throughout the span of my existence here on this plane. And I have been a fan. I have been someone that has appreciated the art form of pro wrestling ever since I was a wee little teeny tiny Barnabas. So many, many years ago. And I had it in my mind that one day I would enter the ranks of the professional wrestling industry. And life took me on all different loops and twists and turns, a roller coaster ride of action, adventure, and excitement that sometimes was great and sometimes, well, not so much. But somehow, old Barnabas weathered the storm. I began training to actually be a pro wrestler when I was in my early to mid 20s, when I was still
Okay.
located in upstate New York. As a matter of fact, my initial training was in Schenectady, New York, with a group called World of Hurt Wrestling, which there is a version of it that still exists, run by a fellow manager named Kenny Casanova. I began my training there, and then it was a lot of starts and stops. I would get banged up, I'd step away, then I'd come back. And I did that several times until I got to the point where I felt like wrestling had passed me by. I had missed my opportunity, but I still loved it. And still within my heart and soul, I had a passion for this. So I could never really truly let it go. So that's when I began to get involved with doing ringside photography and video work and social media content for various companies. And unbeknownst to yours truly at that point in time, I was networking. I was meeting people. I was gaining contacts in the business until I eventually made the decision. I came to the conclusion, I flipped that switch in my mind and decided it's time to once again step back fully into the professional wrestling game, but this time, not as a wrestler. Let's now focus on being a premier managerial mind. Because growing up, I was enamored with the great managers of the past. Everyone from Bobby Heenan, Jimmy Hart, Gary Hart, Skandar Akbar, Percy Pringle, aka Paul Bearer, Paulie, the list goes on and on and on. In addition to being attracted to larger than life characters and at times darker characters, like Kevin Sullivan or Jake Roberts or the original incarnation of The Undertaker. All of this combined, this amalgamation of all these ideas and concepts, in addition to being theatrical, in addition to being a fan of the horror genre, a bit of a gothic persona, if you will, with a love of art and performance and music, and everything combined allowed me to get to this point where I've been doing this now, the managerial side, for going on 10 years. And within that span of time, legitimately, gentlemen, I have accomplished far more than I ever could have hoped or dreamed. Which is exactly why, hearkening back to your question earlier, how far do I see us going? Well, at this point, I truly believe that anything is possible. Because I never in a million years would have thought that Violent J would have plucked us out of obscurity and given us a national platform. And then, as if that wasn't enough, now we've got Vince Russo writing our shows and taking us to a completely different level. So who knows what's next? I have no clue. I have thoughts, I have goals, I have things that I still want to accomplish for myself and more importantly for the outbreak. But at this point, gentlemen, anything is possible. Literally anything.
I feel like the wrestling manager is like a lost art form, you know? Like there's not many wrestling managers around anymore. Do you think that could change? Think we'll see more wrestling managers?
You know, it's one of those things where you're absolutely right. The art form of the pro wrestling manager, you know, so much of the taste and flavor of the wrestling industry. Um, you know, I hate to mention his name, but it's impossible to talk about pro wrestling and not bring him up, and that's Vince McMahon. So at some point in time, Vince McMahon went from favoring managers and used managers quite regularly to a point where he didn't want managers anymore. And that trickled down throughout the entire rest of the wrestling industry. I spoke with my one of my best friends, Mr. Michael Wallace. No one that you would know, just someone that I know in my carny circles, but a gentleman and a scholar. We just had this conversation the other day because PWI came out with their top 100 tag teams. And we had the discussion about how tag team wrestling is a bit of a lost art that is trying to be reinvigorated and rejuvenated. And it truly feels like what myself and the Outbreak are doing, like we are definitely doing something that is not the most popular thing to do, not the most paved road, not the thing that necessarily the industry is longing or begging for, but we together are trying to revitalize the art form of the pro wrestling manager, the art form of tag team wrestling, and on top of that, if that wasn't enough, trying to bring back the love and passion that longtime fans have always had for larger than life characters and personalities. And that's something that I feel that so much of modern day wrestling is lacking because I watch product, and this is not a knock on the incredible athletes of today because they can do such extraordinary things inside that ring. Without question, the athletes of today are vastly superior to the athletes of the past. But the thing that is drastically different now as opposed to prior years is the fact that when I turn on Monday Night Raw or SmackDown or AEW Dynamite or most mainstream big money, big time pro wrestling, it just feels bland. The performers feel bland. They feel like they don't have real personalities. They have no flavor. They have no passion. There are certainly exceptions to the rule, don't get me wrong, because there are certainly gems that are located. On a prior podcast, someone asked me what my favorite WWE performer was today, and I mentioned Chelsea Green because I think Chelsea Green is extraordinary because she's such a vibrant character who maximizes every moment that she's on television and beyond. But she's a rare exception. Braun Breaker's another one that I'm a fan of currently because he actually has something about him. There's a fire and a passion that exists within his promos and his ring work. But for the most part, there's a lot of very bland, stale individuals. And most people remember from the past, when I talk to people that are either casual fans or they haven't been fans for a long, long time, they don't sit there and tell me about technical Meltzer 25-star matches. They tell me that they used to love Macho Man, Dusty, Ric Flair, Hogan, Ultimate Warrior, the Road Warriors, Sting, Undertaker, all these larger than life characters and personalities, Roddy Piper, you know, the list goes on and on and on. That's what we're trying to bring back to pro wrestling. Not just Barnabas and the Outbreak, JCW as a whole is trying to bring that part of wrestling back to the mainstream.
Oh, you
so
guys
that
got a
people
great
can
show.
enjoy it again.
Yeah, you guys got a great show, man. From
Thank
like I
you.
said, from top of the card to the bottom, bro. Like,
Yeah,
Danny Mo,
always.
she's killing it.
Yeah, she's amazing.
Yes.
Mosh Pit Mike, man of a thousand gimmicks, man, killing it. You know.
Mosh Pit Mike is one of the most underrated cats in pro wrestling today. I don't know any other individual. Every time I see him, gentlemen, it's a completely different gimmick,
He's
and he
awesome.
completely leans into it from the attire to the way he works to the way he talks, everything. And we've shared the ring with him a number of times, and usually it doesn't bode well for Mike. But that aside, Mosh Pit Mike is such a super entertaining performer.
You know what?
Very underrated.
He's cool. He's cool with the fan interaction. The Thanksgiving when me and Grim was over there, and I pulled my belt off, and he used my belt and hit Pondo with my belt when he was the Santa Claus. And then it was just the last one at the last one we got some Legos in the ring, so that was
um,
pretty sweet.
Speaking of Pondo, man,
I'm
Pondo
not going
is
to share this with Pondo because Pondo will be very upset.
speaking of Pondo, man, he's a hell of a dude too, man. That like
Yeah,
he's like definitely a legend, man. Like I love his body of work. You know, when he comes out with that stop sign and just everything that you guys do, man.
that
Lunacy
saw,
is a great show, man.
that saw he
Let me
has.
briefly touch on Pondo before we move on because I don't always get a chance to talk about him on podcasts that I'm privileged to be a part of. So I've known Pondo for a number of years, and he shared a lot of locker rooms with me where we were in the middle of nowhere, and he saw the work that I put in, and I saw him still out there grinding, year after year after year. So to see him now have this resurgence of his career, he looks tremendous. He's lost at least 100 pounds, I think even more than that at this point. So
Oh,
to see a cat that's been at it for this long and is still operating at a high level, still doing things that just completely blow my mind. And he's still got a great attitude, still a good dude. On top of that, he's an old school horror fan. He and I are both big fans of the old school Universal monsters, and he loves all the horror. So, but Pondo, absolute legend in wrestling, period. But definitely when it comes to JCW.
See,
yes,
see, all you guys, man, are like definitely fan friendly. Like all of you
yes.
guys treat us, all of us fans, like with the utmost respect. You guys stop, take a moment to take a picture, sign a picture or two. You guys are always coming out to interact with us, man. Just to meet you, man, was like one of my fandoms going crazy. You know,
And,
like
I,
and you're supposed to be a heel, and that's that's the thing is you're supposed to be a heel, and it's just like it's nice to be able to interact with everybody like that afterwards. Everybody's cool about it.
so yours truly in the Outbreak, to use the inside baseball terms, we're really not face or heel. We
Oh,
just
okay.
are. We operate under our own rules. We do what we need to do and whatever is necessary. And sometimes you're going to cheer us and sometimes you're going to hate our guts. But our goal and our mission is always the same. Barnabas always has his eyes on the main prize, which is championship gold. And Jackson and Abel are always fueled by the hunger, that insatiable hunger to ever move forward throughout the ranks of JCW. But to your point, yes, we love our fans. We love the juggalos and juggalettes. We love everyone that comes out and takes the time to support JCW Lunacy. Because the truth be told, we can't do this without you. We truly can't. So one of the biggest issues on top of the exorbitant price that they now charge for tickets, but even
right.
before the ticket prices changed for WWE events, the last few times that I'd ever been to a live event as a fan, I remember many years ago, lovely young woman I was dating took her and her son to a WWE event, and it felt so disconnected. The audience felt so disconnected from what was going on in the ring. It was almost like I would have gotten the same sensation just sitting at home watching this on television. It
Right.
almost didn't feel like a live event to me. Where the polar opposite, when you come to a JCW event, like you absolutely are part of the show. While we're out there, and especially after the fact, because we all love and appreciate each and every one of you, regardless of what our motives are in the ring.
Mhm.
When it comes to the support of our fans, because ultimately you're the cats who are watching Lunacy. You're the ones that are making the numbers grow week after week. I mean, the views on Lunacy on YouTube and beyond the growth has been unreal in a very short period of time, and that's extremely encouraging. And those numbers are only going to continue to grow, but they'll only grow by virtue of your support. So
We cheer for everybody. To
We
be honest
just
with
we
you,
just
you know,
started doing
it's hard to have a favorite. Like
we
we
just
like all
started
of you
doing
guys in your own
a
little way.
weekly
So it's
live
like,
stream for Lunacy.
yeah.
awesome. That's awesome.
But yeah, we
But
like all you guys in your own way. So you know, it's not like it's not like we like this team or this guy. We like all of you guys. So it's like
Yeah, like all
it's
you
hard to
guys
pick.
as characters, man, as performers are great. You know, there's like
We like all of you
there's
guys.
there's not a sourpuss out there. You know what I'm saying?
No, we like
Everybody's
all of you guys.
awesome.
well, we definitely have one of the, if not the most eclectic rosters of any promotion on the planet. And very much the same as you're saying, like you enjoy everything. You don't necessarily have favorites. In our locker room, we all support one another. This is a
That's
huge
awesome.
difference between our locker room and a lot of other locker rooms because, gentlemen, again, to pull back the curtain slightly, most locker rooms, especially as you go up the ladder in the pro wrestling game, you're essentially swimming with sharks.
Right.
People will be nice to your face, they'll smile, and as soon as you turn your back, they'll stab you in the back, or at the very least, they'll be talking all kinds of hot trash while you're not aware. Our locker room is not like that. In absolute 1000% transparency and sincerity, it's not because we all work together. This is, even though we're not presenting a product that is carbon copy or a mirror image of the original ECW, I feel like a lot of the lifeblood and what made that promotion so special carries over into what we're doing today because ECW is very much us against the world.
Mm.
Right.
And that roster all banded together because they wanted to see one another succeed and they wanted the ECW brand to succeed, to grow, to get to pay-per-view, to get to bigger venues, the whole nine. I feel like that spirit, that essence, and again, we're not trying to be ECW, but that specific component of how they used to operate and how that locker room was, that component very much carries over into what we do today at JCW because we all are working in unison to help one another grow, to succeed, and to move JCW forward. Because ultimately, gentlemen, my main goal in the pro wrestling game before it's all said and done is I want to get myself and the Outbreak on national and international television. Now I know obviously the structure of TV is different now with streaming services, but the exposure level is the same. So
Right.
whatever platform is going to provide that, that's irrelevant. But for us to be able to do that, the options are we inevitably go somewhere else or we stay and continue to build JCW to the point where we can enjoy this with JCW. And not just we, now the world gets to enjoy JCW. And I don't think that it's that far fetched. Like, are we going to topple WWE as the top promotion in the world? No, we're not. And that would be asinine for myself or anyone else associated with JCW to think. But can we be a viable alternative? Presenting
Of
something
course.
that no other
Yeah.
promotion is? Yes, we absolutely can. And that's the reason why I think we have a shot. And if I can fulfill one of my main goals in the wrestling game, and I can do it with JCW, no questions asked, that's exactly what I want to happen because, quite frankly, gentlemen, in God's honest truth, I don't know if myself, the Outbreak, performers like Stephen Flow and Cocaine, I don't know if we'd have these opportunities anywhere else.
Right.
I don't know if another promoter or booker or promotion would look at us and give us this kind of opportunity. So thank God for JCW, for Violent J, for Vince Russo, for the entire team, for our awesome production crew, Jeff, Armin, Vincent, Bobby, etc. Like, they do such an amazing job of making us all look like absolute megastars. But I don't know if I can trust other promotions, other bookers, other promoters to properly handle such a unique attraction like yours truly in the Outbreak, or Cocaine, or Stephen Flow, or Pondo, or Too Tough Tony, or any number of the Brothers of Construction. You know, I don't know if I could trust them. I don't know if they would see it the way that we see it. I don't know if they would look at us the same way that JCW looks at us. So at the end of the day, you are valuable in this equation. We are as well. If we all work together, I think we got a hell of a shot of taking JCW to a completely different level. I am so looking forward to 2026 being an absolute banner year, not just for yours truly and Jackson and Abel, but all of JCW.
Well, our podcast, our show, our channel, man, is always here for JCW. Anything we can do to help elevate you guys, you know, man, we're down to do that for sure.
We absolutely appreciate it, brother.
Now, I have one final question before we end here. What is your favorite horror franchise?
You know what? I'm going to show you. Bear with me, gentlemen. Bear with me, gentlemen. Hang on. While I get up, you can take a look at my banner.
I like that.
I was checking that out.
The Marietta Monster Mash, myself and the Outbreak appeared. Now, gentlemen, hold on. I'm going to show you firsthand.
I got to ask him about the hometown, too.
There we are. There. Ironically, I just found this earlier today.
Oh, shit.
Oh, man.
Hellraiser.
Hellraiser.
And then my last question is, where is your hometown at?
Hometown.
If you don't mind me asking, you don't have to answer.
Oh, that is, well, you see, gentlemen, when you're a part of the professional wrestling industry, essentially the road becomes your home. So as an old carny now that has traveled from coast to coast and all over, you find your home on the road. But when it comes to places where I've resided or someplace that I would consider in my hometown or home area, currently I reside in the greater Cincinnati, Ohio area. Not ask me why, but I am here, and I've been here for some time, and there is something about the area that has kept me here. If you look up different odd abnormalities throughout different states, you will see Ohio, for whatever strange reason, is home to a lot of very peculiar activity, which is one of the main reasons why I think I'm still here. Though I do enjoy my time in Michigan, because Michigan has some rather unique stuff as well. But truly my home, where I was born, where I was bred, where I developed into the bizarre one, is New York.
Nice.
New York is where I still consider home. I had the fortune of attending a convention called the Big Event back in November in Long Island, New York. We got to meet a number of individuals, as well as we were able to work for a promotion called Warriors of Wrestling in Staten Island. And then we were able to spend time on Coney Island, where we did an appearance. I was one of the judges for a pro wrestling costume contest, but I absolutely loved Coney Island. And there's so much, and it's very hard to describe, gentlemen. Maybe you can understand this if you've traveled. But whenever I go back to New York, there's just something about it. There's something where I just know inherently that I'm home. But the truth be told is that the road is my home. And JCW is truly my home.
100%.
It's my home promotion. It's my family. There's no more blood relatives left.
Right.
I've sacrificed everything to be a part of the professional wrestling industry, and likewise, Jackson and Abel have done the same thing. But I have no ties tethering me to normal life and normal society anymore. My family is the JCW family. Our roster, our fans, the juggalos and juggalettes, everyone that supports us. I mentioned it earlier. I've never, in all the time that I've been involved in the industry, nor when I worked in music and did other types of entertainment, acting as well, I've never performed in front of a more passionate, loyal, rabid, supportive fan base than the Juggalos and Juggalettes. And again, I feel like the Juggalo fans, there's a stigma that people have these misconceptions about how they are, but they are amazing.
Amazing,
And
yeah. You'll
both
be
on
safe.
screen and off screen, in regular everyday life or being on the road, their support is unwavering. And for that, for anyone watching, if you're a juggalo or juggalette, you support JCW, if you're down with the clown and ICP, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you, because without you, we would not exist. And I'll blabber a little bit more and I'll turn it back to you. I would be remiss if I again didn't mention Violent J and Shaggy, because the Insane Clown Posse, world renowned, such an amazing act that literally has garnered this diehard hardcore fan base. If it wasn't for ICP and if it wasn't for their love of pro wrestling, JCW wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be here. Jackson and Abel wouldn't be here. Our whole damn roster wouldn't be here. So at the end of the day, everyone associated with JCW, ICP, Psychopathic Records, thank you. Thank you for allowing all of us to live a lifelong dream.
And you gotta do me a favor one day, Barnabas. We gotta get you. We gotta get one of your hats so we can replace that ugly ass purple hat on the back of Dan Bob's wall, so we can get you. We can get a real hat
Oh
on
yeah.
there. We gotta get a real hat up there.
So,
We, we gotta
I've
we
had
gotta
a
get we
few
gotta get
people
rid
that
of the
have
ugly
talked to
one.
me. I've had a few people that have talked to me about, hey, Barnabas, you should have that as a merch item, your top
Mhm.
hat. I'm like, we'll see, maybe someday, but perhaps that can be arranged.
Okay.
Yeah, we gotta replace that purple one.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, this has been the House of Grim podcast. Thank you,
Always.
Barnabas Bizarre.
Thank you,
for
sir.
coming
Thank you,
on.
sir.
Gentlemen, it's
Such
been
an honor, such
honor
an
and a
honor.
privilege and pleasure. I am
Yes.
still a little bit hot about the fact that I thought that I was auditioning for the Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy, but I forgive you. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, you win the audition then.
Fantastic.